is to turn the economy around. And if you parcel it down further, we are dealing with an economy that is dependent on a single commodity here, which is the mineral diamonds. Diamonds have fared very badly in the market for many reasons. One, the advent of synthetic or lab diamonds. Two, the now cost associated with mining, because we are getting deeper and deeper into the belly of the earth, and a host of other factors. The other one being this ongoing impasse, if you will, between ourselves as the government of Botswana and our other partner in DBS, being Anglo-American.
That impasse, how are you going to resolve this impasse? Because some people are saying perhaps the idea is good, as the continent is fighting for beneficiation and better returns, particularly in relation to the value chain. That transformation of how you deal with these people who came to Africa to exploit our minerals, it can't be business as usual. What will be your approach?
Well, it can't be business as usual, and in fairness, it hasn't been business as usual as such. We must appreciate that this venture, mining, involves raising capital to actually do the mining and extract from the ground and take to market in some shape or form. We've been taking to market in the raw and processed. We now are saying we want to get involved in beneficiation and the processing. And there's a whole host of ways in which we get ourselves involved. The main focus is narrowed down by those who look at this to cutting and polishing. And that basically is seen as the be-all and end-all. We need to look at other aspects. Bringing the diamond trading back to Botswana was in and of itself a major step of advance. Did we build on that? That must also be attended by infrastructure. These folks who come to buy the diamonds, they come here, they fly in the morning, they view, they make their decisions, and no sooner would they have finished than they are going to spend the night in Johannesburg. And they'd come here. So how do we keep them here for a day, 2 days, 3 days? How do we then even take them from here, from viewing and making their decisions and purchases on diamonds to our tourist areas? Because they're already here. It's easier for them to go to the Okavango. It's attractive, it's appealing. So we need to find a way of ensuring that we link up all these sectors in order to have them come here and then go to support our tourism. That is one. Two, we also need to have associated or allied facilities for training. Botswana has been mining. It has generated expertise. It has trained its people. And it has a lot of skill and expertise in mining, in metallurgy, to offer to the world. So we need to locate those skills here and make Botswana the center for the world in relation to the acquisition of these skills, so that we are able to benefit. So there's a broader array of aspects in which the concept of beneficiation could be deployed, not just in the narrow sense of cutting and polishing. Now, the transition that we've just witnessed does a lot of things for the country. The first thing it does is it cements our place as a robust, tested democracy. It does this because in this instance, we had a party that had ruled for 58 years, that did not expect to lose. By all accounts, all the analysts in this country and elsewhere were emphatic that the BDP was going to win. We go into the elections. No sooner has the counting started than it becomes evident that the BDP is losing. What does a person who's sitting there and who has the power to affect the process even as it unfolds, what did he do?
He called you.
He assesses, he accepts. Now that's no small feat. He accepts that the democratic process is going in a particular direction. It does not occur to him that he can go against it. It doesn't. And this is critical, because if we were saying, no, he called his security chiefs, he did an assessment, and they told him it would not be good. No, none of that happened. The person himself is sitting there, sees what is happening, and it comes naturally to him to understand that what this means is there will be a new president at the end of this process. He reaches out. He talks to that prospective president, that potential president, and he says, congratulations, your party seems to be doing very well. You seem poised to win. We are still hopeful that we may bounce back, but congratulations all the same. That is a powerful, evocative statement and act about the substantive quality and depth and strength of Botswana's democracy. And this has happened. And it goes on through, the counting is going on. In the evening, he calls. The counting has not been finished. It will finish around the afternoon of the next day. But the pattern is emerging. He says, I can see how it is developing. It hasn't reached there yet, but I will concede. I want to assure you that I will readily concede. What kind of person behaves like this? A person who's steeped, who's entrenched in the values of democracy. And it goes on. The following morning, before it is concluded, he goes and he concedes. So what this must tell the world, and I believe it has, because now the world's attention has been drawn to this country. It says there was never any doubt. All the anxieties, the dread, and fear that anybody may have harbored or nursed,
It's done.
was without any meaningful basis. Here is a country that accepts seamlessly. And this goes, the president has conceded, everybody now, and he says himself that I had to counsel some of my members. Some of them broke down. I had to tell them that this is
It's happening.
this is democracy. So you must respect, and respect deeply, a person who behaves like this. And it goes on. He doesn't impede. He doesn't obstruct. He hands over. He makes himself available. I was with him yesterday. We talk. I called him in the morning, wish him well, and tell him I look forward to seeing you at the inauguration. He was there, and we had a chat together. So it says to the investor, you are safe investing in Botswana. Change of government does not affect your circumstances. This republic is bigger than individuals who happen at any moment in time to be its leaders. So this is a powerful statement.
Mr. President, still on the issue of diamonds, in terms of the talk, the issue of the shareholding, there was a proposal in terms of changing of the shareholding structure with De Beers, or now I can say those who have taken over De Beers. Do you agree that you have to change the agreement?
Look, the agreement is being discussed now. The shareholding in De Beers, as we sit here, is 15% held by the government of the Republic of Botswana and 85% held by Anglo in all its other shape and formations. If, and in any corporate or commercial setting, Botswana wants more shares, it obviously will approach the majority shareholder and say, we are ready to buy. Let's do a valuation. We want to buy 30% of your shares.
Why buy?
Buy because this is a shareholding. It's proprietary. The 85% shareholder is a property holder. These shares, incorporeal property that they are property. So if you want to acquire somebody's property, you've got to pay compensation. That's what the Constitution of this republic says. That's what property law dictates. So you're going to have to go to them and engage.
Are you going to do
with
that?
A view to? That's a different proposition altogether. The real proposition right now is Anglo has taken a decision that it wants to sell its shares or demerge its operations. One, are we able to buy? If we want to buy, then there's nothing that stops us. Why? Because we have a right of first refusal. Do we have the money to buy? That's the question. Has a valuation been made which is reasonable and fair and commercially sound? That's another question. But critically, the value of DBS, without any doubt, is dependent on the existence of a contract between itself and the government of Botswana. So we need first to anchor that property, which is DBS, which is the mining, by concluding the contract between it and the government of Botswana. As matters stand, there are a few outstanding issues which could not be resolved until the previous regime left. We are in the process now, and we've made overtures. We want those issues resolved at the earliest. If we could resolve them by the end of this coming week, it would be excellent. Because if they are not resolved, they pose an existential threat to Botswana in terms of its revenue earning capabilities. So we are alive to this. We are engaging actively with our partners in DBS to address these issues and address them as quickly as possible. So we will. In my brief encounter with the delegation from DBS, Anglo, yesterday, we both expressed a commitment to resolving these issues as quickly as possible. And a resolution, and I'm not being overly presumptuous or preemptive, may result in a situation where our own shareholding increases.
Migration has become so problematic, and the immigration laws, because the citizens of respective countries are fighting for resources with some who are not from that country. The issue of Zimbabwe.
Yeah, we've got to approach the issue of Zimbabwe somewhat dispassionately, leave our emotions out of it, and deal with the facts. What are the facts? The facts are, there is, without any doubt, an influx of people from Zimbabwe into Botswana. They end up taking up the most menial of jobs. As a matter of fact, many of the jobs that they end up taking are jobs that our own people are not desirous. There's no serious appetite on our citizens for these jobs. And there's nothing wrong with not liking a particular job. And therefore, when an opening arises, you're not interested. But we also must acknowledge that there will be somebody else, either out of desperation or whatever reason, who will be interested in taking this job. And so that person comes in, without any doubt. How did this person come in? They came in illegally. But they are doing the job. They are already here. What do? We can choose to spend money and send this person back. The moment you leave this person at the border, they cross back, and by the evening they are here. So, are we succeeding? No. How then do we deal with this situation? We could deal with it and when they are illegal like that, because they are hiding, they end up involved in crime. They end up exploited. And this exploitation makes it even more unappealing because they'll take this job for next to nothing. And so the employers, those who have these jobs, who are hiring them, prefer them to citizens because the citizen will want more. So there is a demand for people who will work for a pittance. So they themselves are exploited. Why are they exploited? They are outside the protection of the law because in the first place, when they came in, they placed themselves outside the protection of the law. So we want to deal with this thing and say, let us allow you to come in legally. This is not to go and invite and say, just come and run us over. No.
It means you are not saying open borders.
No. We're not saying that. We are saying we recognize the challenge. Let us deploy strategies and approaches that are appropriately fashioned to deal with so that they do not pose a security risk to us and to our people. Then they can be within the law. They can be controlled either by way of a temporary work and residence permit or a much longer term work and residence permit. We can control, we can manage them, we can account for them.
How are you going to resolve this problem where South Africa can't export some of the products to Botswana?
Yes, it's an issue that is capable of causing problems if it hasn't already. We are members of a customs union. There are certain rules and regulations governing members or parties to a customs union agreement. There's a dispensation there in which nascent industries are protected. There are guidelines, bright lines on how this protection is invoked. The question then would be whether Botswana, in doing what it has done, which is impose the ban, has operated in accordance with the requirements of the agreement and is protecting any nascent industry in accordance with the terms of the agreement. If that is not the case, then we need to go back to what the agreement provides. But aside from the agreement, we have a relationship, a neighborly relationship. South Africa is our trading partner. I think Botswana is South Africa's biggest trading partner. So we offer them a market. We, together with South Africa, will sit down and determine what our interests are, what their interests are, and how we can move towards each other and find some workable accommodation in terms of which we will agree. If there is a ban, because we want to protect an industry that is only emerging, this is how we want it done, and it is known and it is accepted. So if we act unilaterally, then we create a problem. If they act unilaterally, then they create a problem. So we need to come together and discuss, and that is what the customs union actually dictates.
It's almost dead.
Well, SACU is not dead. SACU revenues are being generated, except maybe the terms of the customs union are not being properly observed. That we will need to check, and that we will need to strengthen. If we need to renegotiate and improve in the context of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, in the context of envisaged trade relationships, tripartite between COMESA, between SADC and ECOWAS, then all these will have implications for the existing agreements. So we will need, and this is, it's part of engagements between nation states. We'll go to each other, we discuss, and we say, we must resolve this. There's a problem. We don't know what the nature of the problem is. We need to sit together and agree how we handle this problem. I think between Botswana and South Africa, there's no shortage of capability to resolve these issues and resolve them amicably. And indeed, between Botswana, even between Botswana and Zimbabwe, if there's a niggling trade issue, we will discuss it, and we will resolve it. So what is important, and this is what I keep raising, because I've said this government, this administration, this people's administration must be agile. It must be quick to realize there's a problem and to examine accurately, using evidence, the nature of the problem, diagnose, and then do a proper strategy and implement, evaluate, and make sure that the strategy works. If it doesn't work, change it. But we need to address problems in a manner that is proactive, that is agile. And so in relation to those, we are going to get off quickly to deal with all these problems and try and resolve them, because we need to build this economy. We need to turn it around and turn it around quickly.
You invited opposition parties in the SADC region. What was the reasoning behind it?
It's democracy. That's the reasoning. They are part of the democratic process. They are part of peacekeeping and the maintenance of peace and harmony in their respective countries. If they are not recognized, if they are not appreciated as part of the democratic process, then we are creating a situation for other than democratic means of accessing power. So once you have them come and they realize we are part of this, we are the opposition, we are now in power, other countries must realize at some point the opposition will be in power. Do you want to have angry people, vengeful people because you abused them, come into office and start doing the same to you? No, there's no need to abuse each other. Even aside from political competition, there's no need. So we need to appreciate all of them, appreciate the ruling parties as well as those who are aspiring to rule, because they will be in power one day. And there's nothing better than having all of them at one table laughing, and then they go and compete.